Dan Rothenberg and Joe Klosik, two guys trying to figure it out. Not the right wing, not the brosphere. Left of center with humor and empathy. Hello. Welcome to the Splain. We're getting better at it. We're getting better at the timing.
Yeah, that was good. Like and subscribe.
Please.
If you are enjoying our content, interviewing all these really funny, interesting comedians.
Yeah. We've had some really
Yeah.
good comments. The last couple, we had a comment thanking us for introducing people to Marcus Williams, which was very cool. And then we had a couple of comments about Priya. People really enjoyed hearing about her. So we're on the right path,
Great.
buddy.
All
We're
right. We got some good
people.
people that liked what we did. Like
Yeah. How about
I'm
that?
I'm having trouble taking that in. So they
It's
just
it's weird.
said something nice.
I know. On the internet.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I was always taught that if you have something mean to say, save it for the internet.
Save it for the end. We actually okay. So maybe it's as though people are listening to what we're doing, and their comments reflect that they
They're enjoying it.
were actually. I'll even take that they listened.
Yeah, amen, amen,
Okay.
amen. Well, today, this is fun for I think us.
Yeah.
So Tony, to put it into context, when I was starting, you were one of the guys that was pretty well established in the San Francisco scene. You had some solid TV credentials behind you, and you were also one of the comics like when you went up, the back of the room paid attention because it was always fun. And I think it's also very fair for me to say that as a young comedian who really wanted to riff and do crowd work, I watched you, and I think I borrowed a lot of mechanics. So I borrowed a lot of what you were doing and incorporated it into myself. And I think that's always a fascinating thing to where you can see that cross-pollination of San Francisco comedians. And I'd like to, when people compliment me and they ask me like, well, where did you learn how to do it? I always say like, I was watching Tony Camin and I really dug how he did it. I will always remember watching you at Cobb's, the old Cobb's in the small room, right? And there was a whole bunch of English tourists. It wasn't a large
I
crowd.
remember this.
You remember this? It was like right
The
before
English tourists.
Halloween, and
Yeah. Do you remember that,
there was a pumpkin
Tony?
on stage,
Yeah.
and you were riffing on it, and you were like, "We put a candle in a melon," and it just
Yeah.
the room just exploded, and I just felt like, oh, this guy can now take the audience anywhere. I want to know how to do that. So it is with great pleasure we welcome the one and only Tony Camin to our.
And we actually that's all the time we have based on the Joe's
What a great
intro.
podcast.
Jesus Christ.
We like to get to the heart of things and then
Oh,
say goodbye.
yeah.
You got busy stuff to do, man.
Welcome,
Oh, it's
Tony.
great to see you guys. Yeah, you're right, Joe. It's just like, I learned watching proofs, and he probably watched it like it's how it exploded, with the reels a few years back. I think it's kind of died out a little bit. And you're like, oh, people are good at it. We have people who are good at it, and I thought some of those reels were just as good. It's just like we never recorded them back
Yeah.
then. Like, it's just like if you're halfway decent and you enjoy it, a lot of comics want to stay to their, Jake Johansson hates veering. I'm sure Jesselnick doesn't like it. People who are very regimented. But as someone who never wrote enough, and also Cobb specifically with a lot of tourists, that small room was like a lot of British, it was a great little perfect, what they call magic in a bottle, whatever, low ceiling, a lot of people
Yeah.
on vacation in a good mood, not like, oh, and then also people who choose San Francisco to go to, like it's
Right.
really cold, it's not really like kid friendly, So on a good night, you'd have those and some regulars who knew it was a good show, and it was such a magic place, and you learned how to talk to, because it was such a small little semicircle, so they're right there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have that look like, yeah, talk to me, unlike a lot of normal, because they're like, you're on vacation, yeah. So it was a great place, even though Tom Sawyer never liked crowd work.
He hated it.
he let us do it after a while because he saw, oh, you're good at it. You could do it. You had to push through his bias.
Yeah.
But there was such a great room for it, And then later it kind of hindered me because I always do that. And then when you start traveling with comics, they don't want you to do that if you're opening for them because it's messy. And then I didn't hear what he said.
It's hard to follow.
Question, yeah. So and then I've stopped it a lot less. I love to do it, but it's got to be like a weird situation where the headliner doesn't care, or I'm rarely headlining. That's always fun. But you're like, oh, I got to work on my jokes more. That kind of goes back and forth, But it's always so fun, and you can make a connection, such a great connection with the crowd, when you veer off and have those genuine moments with people,
Do you remember like the first time you really were riffing with an audience and it really connected for you and you thought, hey, I kind of like this?
Yeah, I think it was the Holy City Zoo, and I was just something came up about area codes or something, and it's 415, whatever. And then someone said, where are you from? Oh, Israel is your area code 1, or whatever, something. And that was like the first time, like, oh, they got a real big laugh. You're like, okay, oh, that felt good, reward, whatever.
Yeah.
Dopamine award. Oh, that was good. I had a positive experience, So then you get, and when you host a lot, it's a thing almost hosts are kind of allowed to do because they're so cold, up front. Especially I was a Cubs host for a long time. So you just got better. It's just a skill you build up. And most people, if they're comics, can do it. It's just if they like it and they want to do it. Some of them write out too many jokes. I don't want to waste my time asking this guy's job. That's not my focus. I love it. I love just like, hey, and I'm also curious about people. I'm like, what does this giant man do? Oh, you're a printer. Oh, that's interesting to me too. Maybe having a genuine interest in people like you both do. Too. Like
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's an interest, and some people hate it. Oh, crowd work. It's like crowd work, swearing, notes on stage. Like everybody has something they don't like.
Can I jump in for a sec? I've always
not
wanted
right
to
now, Dan.
say
Anyway,
this to you. Okay, you guys.
Go ahead.
This was. I always felt like you brought crowd work to a certain art. Like you had a very interesting strategy. This was my perception of it, and I've always wanted to ask you if you agree. Your really clever take on crowd work was you would talk to the crowd, and you would ask them what they did or what they were into, and then you'd act like you were an expert in that.
Oh yeah.
Sort of
that's one of the things. I used to do some of that, a little bit of that. Yeah, my old stomping ground, Harvard.
Yeah, and then you would kind of condescend to them as if they didn't know what they were talking about.
Right,
and you would make up.
It's a thing, kind of like what Proops does. Is it assumed? It's like a blowhard. I'm acting a higher status, even though I am back. I have no status in this situation. I'm acting like I'm high status when, in fact. And that's the thing. Sometimes my whole kind of character is like that, acting when I really don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm doing a good job on stage, the audience knows I'm kidding. But sometimes they do not know. Like, or you get a guy who's got an ego, and he'll be like, "That guy doesn't know more about engineering than me." When clearly I'm not saying the words right. I'm not, blah blah blah. So that's the thing.
Yeah, it'd be like engineering. And what do you do? I'm an engineer. I remember this. Okay, and you were like, okay, so do you work 440 or 420? Like you start throwing out terms that.
Yeah. So and then.
And it was really funny. It was kind of a Steve Martin kind of thing. I think I'm more than I am, but
yeah, I think I got this, and you don't really have this. It's a Tim Robinson's whole character is sort of was my favorite guy right now. It's almost a take where. I love the idiot who thinks he's so smart, or it's a classic in movies. There's always a character who knows what he's a dummy who's highfalutin. So a little bit of that, I think that's and again, my job is to make the audience know that, as opposed to like, well, God, this guy's being a real asshole. Think he's better than that,
Let me ask you this: as you come across so likable, and I think one of the skills, but it's also natural. If a comic stays likable, they can pretty much go anywhere. Have you ever had a situation though where you got angry on stage at an audience member? Anything ever really get under your skin where you're like, I'm really angry?
Yeah, and it was unprofessional. It was I was just a couple years ago. I was working with Mary Lynn Rice Cobb, and I'm middling. It's just like home club, San Francisco. My friend, blah blah blah. Mary Lynn, great, good shows, banging on all fours, just really cooking, and. So, some driver. Oh, talk maybe. I have a Uber joke or a Waymo joke or something, or had. That was 2 years ago. I mean, come on. That's way. I probably still have it. And somebody goes something about Asian drivers. Was she Asian or something like that or something? Was he Asian? I'm like, what? Because I was like, what are you talking? It's like, it was like maybe the second time I didn't hear the first statement. Was he Asian? And it's just like some fat white guy, and I was like, really? I mean, come on. It's my home club, and I'm not even offended that it's racist, just so old and lame and racist, and I got too mad, and it took a bit to get out of it. And I was like, why did I let that get to me? I should have just been a little more above it, or handled it sharper and less emotionally. It was fine and stuff. But I just, it got to me. So yeah, it gets to me.
And they could tell you were angry?
I think I was like, really? It was no funny to it. I think the audience knew I was mad. I got him easy with the just joke. I was like, go back to Hayward, for whatever. I felt a little ghost of the moment in me, still I got to learn from this and not, and just there's dummies. I'm not. Why did I let this dummy make me feel bad? Because I got to handle this better. So I don't walk around with this guy in my head going, on set going, that fucking guy is taking me out of the moment. He didn't for a while.
Yeah.
But it was the last time I thought of that someone kind of got to me a little bit, and it was pause the show. We're like, really, and these people are just watching two people fight. They were all. They were all on my side. They agreed with me, but I still thought it's like,
Yeah.
It is annoying when a crowd member tries to add to the funny, tag your joke.
Yeah, it's like it's
it's actually disrespectful.
It's that there's that's often like an ego, a male that does that one. The female, I think of him as a little more narcissistic kind of guy who thinks he's funny. Maybe he's got a couple people around him. He's got a little posse, so he has a little power, But yeah, it's just the guy is like, oh, sorry, pal, go on, trying to help. It's like, I think we've all seen that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When did you start, Tony? Do you remember?
When the last time, Joe, has anybody gotten to you recently?
Yeah, there was a punchline again, home club. There was a couple right up front that they reeked of privilege, just this big old white guy with his, overdone up wife, and the door guy was telling me when he was coming in, they were making all of these really bad jokes, and people around them were just kind of, and they wanted to sit up front, and they were like, oh man, do we warn Joe? Do we, and they were like, yeah, Joe will handle it. And they did this thing that I call stealth heckling, which is only maybe the two tables next to them could hear what they were saying, and 98% of the crowd couldn't hear them. So I would say a joke, and then he would tag it, or that's not that good, or stuff like that. And in my head, I'm like, okay, do I plow through and have a not fun set, really, because of this guy, or do I address him? And I made eye contact with him, and the guy was just like, what? I mean, that's the immediate beginning of like, what? And yeah, I got a little angry too, and I'm just like, we're doing okay without your input, man. Which is not the funniest thing but it just, you could feel that vibe in the room shift a little bit. He ended up leaving without me even like engaging, but he realized like I wasn't going to play. I wasn't going to, take his bait and do his thing. And when he left, the whole front of the stage area, they were like, "Oh, thank God that asshole is gone."
Yeah.
But it just, I mean, in a weird sort of way, it was like, "Oh yeah, this is Trump in America right now. Everybody wants him to shut up and leave, but we're
Right.
kind of stuck with him." And yeah, it felt like I'm better than this. I'm more talented than this. I could have handled this better. But it's weird how sometimes, for whatever reason, someone gets under your skin.
Yeah, it is weird. Dan, how about you? Have you had a experience lately?
Yeah, I was at the Punchline. This was back in the day.
Maybe our home club is a shitty club. Have we ever thought about
Yeah. Yeah.
And a rock was being thrown at me, the normal.
Pattern here. This was it was completely my fault. This
Wow.
was back when the late
Back when racism was more acceptable.
yeah.
So I wore
This
the
is back
hood,
in the
you know?
in the late '90s when there was no concert, no one was filming anything. You just chalked it up to wow,
That happened.
that didn't work out.
Yeah.
I still feel bad about this. This woman who somehow knew me and was a little bit of a fan up until this point
I already love the story.
she brought someone from Finland or
Wow.
some country with white people was visiting her and says, "Oh, this is Nigel, my friend." It might have been Sweden or something. So this is my friend. I brought him to, and we're excited to see you. So I started doing my set, and I think I was having a bad set, in a bad mood, and he was heckling, but I don't think he meant it. He was He did something I interpreted as wanting to get become a part of the show.
Those fucking Swedes.
And the reality was he had an accent and he didn't mean it. And I lashed out at him. It was horrible. And then come to realize at the end of the show, it was the guy she brought to see me. And I misinterpreted the whole thing, and I'll never forget. She looks at me and goes,
Wow.
"Why?" And I think I was apologetic and kind of put that in a compartment and moved on with my life.
Like a serial killer would do.
Yes.
I'm a
Absolutely.
nice guy at home and work. That's a whole different.
Yes.
Oh my
Totally.
God.
He was such a nice guy.
Oh, did you explain your point of view though? It's like, oh, I didn't know, and it sounded like he's doing this.
I can't remember. At the time, I was so, maybe I was kind of just arrogant enough to think, well, whoops, whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Back
That's
back
funny.
in those.
You mentioned going on stage in a bad mood. I don't think I have ever gone on stage in a bad mood.
Really?
I know that's weird.
Wait.
I've been pissed off.
Wait. Truly? You've never gone on stage and you were in a bad mood?
I've had really bad things happening right up until when they say my name, I honestly forget about what's happening in my life.
Really? Wow.
That's how I could stay middling for 45 years, is denial.
That's really cool. Speaking of, are you middling now? What are you doing?
I still feature mostly. I
Really?
headline weeknights and well, here and there. Wrote a little bit, and I do. Lately, I've been doing a podcast with Laura Keitlinger, who is one of my favorite comics. So it's great. I did her show. And she said, "I need a co-host." They haven't dropped yet. We did about 6 months of it, but we're working on for a platform, and that's been a lot of fun. She's just so wonderful, and we're working some stand up together and stuff. So doing that and some stand up. We have some really cool shows in my neighborhood that are almost like open mics, but they're all comics. it's a show. You sign up the night before.
Wow.
And it's just like Maria Bamford and Laura and a lot of guys, Chris Garcia, a lot of Bay Area people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, okay, this is what this can only survive like in L.A. or New York, because it's like maybe 15 comedians watching each other, and they're good. If it's a good new joke, they're great. It's a great crowd too, But you got to really I got to really get some new jokes. I don't want to waste their time. But so just getting up a couple times a week, hitting the weekend. Once in a while, I'll get a improv weekend or a comedy and magic club in Hermosa Beach is really fun. Doing that, maybe once a month, once every couple months. And there's just local clubs on weekends, and then spots during the thing, and then the podcast, and we're trying to build some things into that, making a tour, maybe whatever. So that's just little bits like that. Trying to stay in the game, trying to get new material in front of me and old material behind me. It's hard. It's hard.
Do you remember? Did you start at the Holy City Zoo? Was that your first set, or where did you start?
Yeah, it was the Holy City Zoo. I was doing college radio.
Really? Wow.
And Kevin Karaoke was worked at the same college radio station, and Don Perazzo. And hey, you gotta, you're funny. You like comedy. Try this little place. So I watched a couple times, and I remember Lankin Earl. I would just go there, and
Wow.
I hurt laughing because I really didn't know stand-up. I was a music nerd. I got music dude. It was a punk college station, and I really liked it. And then I was just like, write down. So get 5 minutes to get what you think is about 5 minutes together and try it. So it took a couple weeks writing down what is the deal with fishing. Whatever your first jokes are. And
Do you remember any of those jokes?
I kind of not right now, but I remember some of them. I remember ones like black and white TV, like the world used to be in black and white, and I think in 1950 or 1960, someone just let's make this. I don't know. It was like real weird. But the thing is, I was so nervous. People thought I was doing a character. They were like, it's a little Jake Johansson.
Oh my God.
Both, but like that was, and I did good. But people were like, oh yeah, it's a little Jake Johansson. I wasn't. I was just so. I was like, I was so. I was stammering, and they just because I was a big fat. I was kind of a heavy guy. I was a nervous, introverted guy at this time. That's why radio's easy.
Really?
So I was very nervous, but I did. The worst thing that can happen is that you did well the first time, and then I just bombed. At different. Oh, let's try food bars. Oh, wow, horrible.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Would know all the places to go. On Tuesday we do this, or Wednesday. So I didn't do well again for like 2 weeks, and I finally had another good set. But I would really try. I was like, that was fun. You want to chase that dragon. When you do well,
Yeah.
okay, So the first time was funny. Yeah, it was the Holy City Zoo, and it was like you saw some of this Jake Johansson, and all the people were hanging out. And you're just like, well, this is a thing I didn't know about. It is so great, It was like
Yeah.
it was sort of like in the music scene, only with that I couldn't play guitar, So I was like, this is cool, weirdos, misfits, different types.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Dexter Madisons and then there's the guy.
I remember him.
Oh yeah, then there's a heroin addict asleep in the back. He's just trying to stay warm on a cold night. It was just like, whoa, this is an interesting place, and I like the vibe. And you get good here, then you go to the punchline, or you get on. Then there's the other cafe. I never really got on too much there, but I'll put a word.
It's all before my time.
Oh,
Food bars, the
you
other
did the
cafe,
zoo?
Holy City Zoo.
Really?
Never.
Oh, I thought for sure you would. Joe, you did the zoo, right?
Yeah, I had that's funny that you mentioned those two places. So my first set was the Holy City Zoo on the open mic night, and I had a great set. I did really well, and I thought, okay, I can do this. And then I couldn't buy a laugh for the next 6 months,
Yeah,
and
same
and
story,
I
basically.
I just
You're
thought
this is
like,
easy.
oh
I'm
man,
gonna be good at this.
yeah. And then I could not recreate whatever worked that night. Foo Bars was like my main place that I was going out to a lot, and I was doing okay out there. I had some success out there with it. But I remember, I mean, and probably for you too, the big thing to tackle was you got to get on Sunday nights at the Punchline, and that took me forever. Was Hutch still in charge of that when you were coming up, or?
Yeah, it was Hutch, but it took me longer. I think I would get on Sundays, but the big thing was Mondays at Cobb's was the big
Ah, yeah,
at that time. And
yeah,
you called at 3 o'clock, and he said
yep,
no, click, and that was it. And then Alex Reed put in a word for me,
wow,
and someone else too. I forget, maybe Jake. And I finally had a yes, and I remember at my day job going okay, and I was like, wait a minute, that was a yes.
Do you
'cause
remember
we've been doing this for months? No, try next week, and you just try every week wherever you are, a payphone, blah blah blah. I finally got on, and it was
yeah,
so I got in actually more I got paid at Cobb's and did the Monday before I think I even did the punchline.
really? Oh, wow,
I was later. I
okay,
wasn't really a big punchline guy. I think Hutch and I rubbed each other the wrong way a little bit. I was putting the
really?
chairs up.
Wow.
What is it?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I was a
yeah,
little more old school. I thought the comedy was a little sharper at Cobb's and a little grittier at the zoo. So but yeah, eventually I went over the punchline. I was the only one left, but
You remember the moment, both of you, the moment you got a yes from Tom?
yeah,
oh yeah.
yeah,
I
I was
remember
at my
that
day
so
job
clearly.
at a cubicle. Not even I'm just like in the office, somewhere like, oh, using somebody's phone. Okay, and I said, all right, thanks, Tom. I hung up and I walked away. Oh, it took me a second to realize it was a yes because I'm just so. I even hung up thinking it was a no. I'm like, okay, Tom. Oh shit, that was a yes. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I gotta get. Oh, fuck, I gotta get this together. I gotta drive. I was living in like Menlo Park or whatever, Mountain View. Oh, I gotta get up there. This is 3, even though it's 8. I got to drive an hour and think of my shit. Oh, I got to go out home early. So it kind of set in because it was a yes. Do you remember yours, Dan? Oh, you didn't do it.
Yeah, I just remember over and over, 6 months.
Yeah.
Try me next week, and then, come on down. And it's just, remember it so clearly. It was,
yeah.
And, looking back, and I remember when Hutch chose me, the moment after 6 months, it's always 6 months, just right before he said, you're on, he just, for the first time, looked at me. And I got on his radar, just as a person that had been there taking up space. And when I look back, it's funny, even though all of that can be cloaked with a sense of, let's say, failure and desperation, if you want to look at it that way, because comedy's hard, I hope my son has moments like that.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because you can't beat that. You can't beat a creative moment where you've worked hard.
That euphoria of suddenly it's snapping into place.
Well,
Tony,
also,
what?
It's you're ready for it too. You're like, okay, I've been knocking on this door for 6 months. It opens and you do your thing. There's not a lot of things in life like that. It's like you get, okay, let's see,
let's go.
So it's not. It's like probably a good sport type of analogy, where you work and I just do my job and it's good, and it feels good because that's an achievement level you have unlocked or a ladder. I did this. It's obvious a goal. I'm calling, and you nail it. Okay, and then you're like, what's next? To be a regular, to make that. So it's a firm grasp thing,
It's rare to have really clear wins, and you're right. Like, and that was, all of those moments were so
Those
special, and you felt like,
Jeff
okay,
Wells
I'm arriving.
booking you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's a win.
That's a huge, Jeff Wells knows
it's a
my
dream.
name. Jeff Wells knows my phone number.
Dream come true in the moment.
It's a lot of our job. The rewards are sort of like intangibles. That was a good set, blah blah blah. But that's a career ladder, solid thing for us, and it's a clear cut thing. Okay, I'm in this level now. Okay, that feels good, and now you got to sustain and go to the next thing. And there's always something that, and you wherever you want, then you start like, oh, do I want to act or do I just want to be a joke? And then that comes up later. All the possibilities of the skill you have. So it's fun and it's interesting, but that's one of the early first rungs of, oh, I got to that. I passed this. The A club in town accepts me. You're officially in the scene.
Do you remember a moment, like speaking of these wins? Because from my perspective, like when I showed up, you were pretty well established, and you were working a lot, always fun to watch, always showing up on Sundays with original content and just, crushing it. Was there something that differentiated you from, okay, I'm in, to I'm one of that handful of people that is really crushing it? Do you did was it a social situation? Was it one set? Was it some accomplishment that really pulled you out of the pack, and now you were Tony Camin?
It's funny because I never really felt that in the moment. I just felt like trying to be as funny as I can. And I thought there's always people doing better in my scene, like Greg Barron or Margaret Cho. They were always like kind of the leaders of the around where I started. I think a little after me, but you saw them. Oh, they're getting a lot of traction, But I think generally just being in the group of people that were in San Francisco made you a better comic. It made you saw what was happening, and it made you work harder. You're like, okay, this is a good thing, and everybody's. I like so many of these artists or whatever in this thing, and it's just like I gotta try to bring myself out more. What I think is funny. So I think just the whole vibe of the scene really helped. It really helped, and then going up a lot.
Do you ever reflect?
We had those great clubs to go up. Monday nights you could go improv, punchline, Cobb's. You could do all three. No, maybe it was Sunday night. Whatever. It's just like it was amazing. Like those are rooms now. It takes years to get a spot in, and you could do two of them a night. So it was a good time. All that I think really helped. I never really, people would say, oh, like when Jimmy Garofalo or Greg Proops started liking it, then you realize, oh, maybe at least some comics I like me, as opposed to being like an in comic or whatever. That's always nice when people say you admire. Hey, I like your stuff, So that was nice. But I never was that secure. I was on the edge of those groups, I felt like I was at the edge of Greg Barron and the hipsters, but also I did the road with all these guys. It was weird.
I was going to ask, do you ever reflect on, to me, your class of comedy was a powerhouse group that actually is kind of, in my mind, unmatched. Like, even though you talk about how, the scene in San Francisco is huge now and it's more competitive now. When I started, it was you and Arj and Sabrina Matthews and Vernon Chapman and I don't know who am I?
Well, it was Matt.
Well,
Matt Weinhold.
Yeah,
Weinhold
was
yes,
was still,
Matt Weinhold. And I'm forgetting a few.
Lori Kilmartin, who got a big shout out at the on Conan and Kimmel. We're talking about how great Lori Kilmartin is, helping out with Oscars tonight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big shout out.
And you were all
talking about how she
opening
worked for my show. She works for my show. She's great. Yeah. Kilmartin, there's
and
so
you were all opening at the time.
I didn't hear that one.
You were all opening at the time.
Yeah. We're all opening, and there's so many more too. There was there was a lot of comics. Even just per capita in San Francisco, it was a good scene. There was a lot of different kinds of comics. There's Sport Cocon. Johnny Steele was around. He was he was an elder statesman with Proops and Steele and Larry Brown. They were kind of above us, but still cool and newish. Newish.
Yeah. Was there any comedian that you really looked up to, or a comedian where you got booked on the same show with, and you were like, "Wow, this is really cool. I can pick their brain. I can watch them."
Trying to think. I was always a big Jake Johansson fan, but often we wouldn't book together because people did think we were similar. I had this sort of thing at first. I'm just trying to think of who really who really changed things, but I can't think of. There's just so many little, things. Yeah, I don't know anybody who just like where my mouth dropped, and then they were like, okay, I'm gonna. This is. There's a comic now who makes me do that. Rory Scovel. Rory Scovel now makes me.
Oh wow!
I paid money to see him do Mondays down the street at the Elysian Theater, and you do a different hour. like every month, and he's so
Wow.
funny. To me, it's like why I got into comedy. Just really what he thinks is funny. Rory Scovel.
Rory
So I think
Scovel.
just there's so many that I just like so many. Like I love Proof so much when I started. Jake. Um, who else was really people who had fun on stage? Like people who could tell you. I didn't really love the stoic. I like their joke writing, but I like people like, oh god, you can tell they're having fun, and I really like. I'm getting that
Hmm.
vibe.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
probably forgetting
Yeah.
so many people you know.
Well,
I
we
used to
all
like
are. We're getting.
Mike Meehan was always fun to watch. Like I thought he was a real San
Yeah,
Francisco style
Oh
comic.
yeah. 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 Absolutely.
yeah.
I'm just trying to who else. There was so many like
It was just really intimidating at the time. I look back and I'm like, I'm proud of myself for persevering through that to the point. A lot of you guys just eventually went to LA and then made a little room. But
Yeah. Thanks
that,
for leaving.
yeah.
it's just me.
What was
I,
was the transition to LA? What was that like for you? I mean, because I went down and I had one of the worst times of my life, and I rushed back to San Francisco. Some of it was like a lot of personal shit was going wrong, but I even though I'd been told how difficult it was going to be, and I think Greg Barrett actually told me the first year in LA is going to be the hardest year of your life, but if you can get through it, you're going to be okay. What was that first year for you down in LA?
well, I kind of lucked out, and most of my people I started with, like Greg and Laura Milligan and Mark, they were already down here. I was like the last of my friends. The only ones up here was I was living still with Ron Lynch
Hmm.
and Chris Hobbs in the Comedy House on 21st, kind of. So I had like a lot of people, and then I don't know if you remember Javon Castile. Was
Yeah.
someone I had dated, and also Roger Rittenhouse from Denver was staying with us because he was doing
Yeah. Okay.
the San Francisco comedy competition. So he was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a place." I had been, I don't know if it was Greg Barron or Dave Rath who would help us, a manager guy who'd help us all out. He said, "Listen, you're in at all the clubs in San Francisco. You do all the road. There's no reason that you have to live here if you want to expand. I mean, you work Punchline, you work Cobb. I was the house MC at Cobb's, and I moved to LA just to come back up. I had places to stay, stayed at Con. So I had Roger Rittenhouse as a roommate, Devonka Steele. A lot of my friends were already here, and like someone like Margaret would get some like development deal and throw these big parties. So my first year was fun because people were getting taste of money for the first time. Kathy Griffin would have these gorgeous, just huge, catered. And also we would
Wow.
sometimes be doing the catering, not at these weddings, but also we would. Paul Kozlowski had a cater waitering gig, so me and Ron Lynch would go to these Disney parties, and we'd be the wait. And I'd make margaritas. That's all I did. And that was fun. So my first year, even though I had this job and still doing the road a lot, but like there was a bar we all hung out called the Fellinis, where like these Karen Anderson's boyfriend was the bartender, and like all the people would come, Jack Black and Andy Dick, and they would ever do shit on the stage after we closed the doors. So I thought it was really fun being like, oh, this is where people entertain, Jack Black. So it's like, holy crap, it's a level up from San Francisco. I thought like, oh, and it is still real
Yeah.
smart and funny. Stuff like Naked Trucker and all this weird shit was happening. I'm like, well, this is where you go. This is people landing here and trying to be funny and get. So my first year was like, wow, I got better my first year. Even Tom Sawyer said people don't get better when they go to LA. And people, someone said, Tony, well, I think Tony did, because I think
Wow.
I just absorbed. Oh, this is this level now. So my first year was pretty fun, actually. What years did
That's
you come
awesome.
down here, Joe?
Oh man, I went down, I want to say around 2003, 2002, 2003, somewhere in there. And yeah, it was a mixture of I had a relationship dissolving that was just really, really painful. And yeah, I had a little bit of success, but I think was the thing that really, really hit me was, oh, I'm a big fish in a small pond in San Francisco, but it doesn't quite translate down in LA. I mean, people will be like, "Oh, you're a San Francisco comic. That means, yeah, you're better than the average comic." but I just felt like, man, I'm trying to get on these open mics, and the people that were on the open mic with me, they either had like half hours on Comedy Central or they were getting on Conan, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is my competition. And it was a little overwhelming. It was a little, it just, and then, yeah, if you've got trouble in a relationship, man, oh man, it is hard it's hard to feel any of the wins, because there was a couple of good things that happened when I was down there. But I remember, like, right as I left, Matt Weinhold invited me to a party, and I remember thinking, like, okay, if Matt Weinhold invites you to one of his get-togethers, then you're probably you're getting into that inside track of people. But I also remember thinking, like, man, I don't want to think of it that way either. Like, am I making alliances, or am I making friends? And that was tough for me. I mean, I don't, my experience was my experience. I know people have a different experience, but I always meant to go back, and then I never did. So.
Dan, did you ever
speaking of
live down here, Dan?
Yeah, for like 20 years. Thank you. That sums that up.
20 years, huh? Well, I know you and Dana stayed with me and Beth one night when we lived in Santa Monica. I think when you were working with Dana Gibson.
Yes, when I was with Dana, that was a fun period.
You want to expand on that, Dan?
I don't know how interesting that is. I love Dana. Dana Gibson was a server at Cobb's, and she decided to manage me, and she got me, so she opened some interesting doors. We went to Europe, and she did manage to book me all around Europe, and I got some great gigs.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she would get me on at the Improv, and maybe and it ended amicably, and I've noticed I think she's doing really well.
I think she's sober, and she's with married Rich Brown, and I see him.
That's
I
awesome.
see him here and there down here. Yeah, they look like they're doing good.
Yeah, so I'll say this: she's sober, which I think is really good for her. And when we were working together, she wasn't sober, and so there's that. And so everyone wound up where they needed to be. But the point is, I forgot why did I bring that up? I totally forgot.
Well, so you were living down in L.A. And,
I came to L.A.
Los Angeles.
And we did stay with you once. I think I must have been living in San Francisco at the time.
Yeah.
And so, we'd make little trips down, and I would do an improv set, and it made me feel comfortable. Like, and to her credit, she would talk my way on to a show. And LA overall was very, it was difficult. It was difficult for me. It was difficult for me to find my footing and find self-worth in a place that there was just a lot of comedians, and I think I was too intimidated to do what I had done in San Francisco, which is just hang out and pay your dues. But I had my moments. I was with APA for a while, and I was managed by Louis Black's manager. And I had my little, and I got a few TV sets. We did one together, Joe. We did the Gotham.
That's right.
And
yeah.
And I did Late Friday, which if you Google that,
I did it twice.
What?
Yeah.
There's no reason to brag, Tony. No reason to brag.
It's a TV show. I got called for 3:00 in the afternoon. A TV show. I can't get a spot around town that late. Yeah, Lisa Lane booked it, and she said someone dropped out.
Yeah.
So sure.
That's awesome.
So those were wins. That was huge. Those were
$700
wins. And then I did my one-person show that did well. And we went to Edinburgh, and then it became a two-person show. And it was very successful. Went to Edinburgh, and I just sort of, Colleen and I kind of burned out, and I somehow lost. Yeah, I just kind of burned out, and I remember thinking to myself, I think I just want to get a job and try to make some money or something.
It's so funny. It's like opposite of the guy. It's the opposite of guys like, I would like to get out of this factory and pursue my dream. And you're like,
Yeah.
fuck the dream. I want to get back on that factory line.
Something like that, yeah. And then so I guess, how did LA go for me? My sense is that I didn't, for some reason, I didn't have the balls to just go and make it work. It was too scary. You know, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems both of you had a lot of like, you had your stuff with your relationship, and you had a little stuff in your head about where do I fit in. I'm like a puppy, so I don't have that level of even. I'm just like, what? Food? There's a bowl over. So I just thought like, I could get on too. I didn't really think about it, and obviously I didn't. I'm still in about the same place where I moved even less. I can't get on the improv every weekend even. But I made enough to get by, start writing, so I always made enough to make LA work for me. I think that was the thing,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people generally, you're a really funny guy that people want you around to be part of stuff and want you to do a set.
Back in the day.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there advice you would give a younger version of yourself? Like if you, looking back on it, is there anything that you would do differently or say, hey, don't do this, or hey, look into this more?
God, I wish I knew the specifics. I would call back your joke about yourself with the woman in the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Don't
Here we
do
go.
it. Don't do it.
I'm him in 10 years. You got to get out of here. Yeah.
Don't do it. I wish my brain was better. That's one thing. I could have called that back. Nice, sharp callback to that great joke. I would just tell myself to write more. I was good. I always did, my day was built around stand-up talk, but it was always like, let's get coffee with the gang and do right. But then I'd be like, fuck around, and when I went to a town, I just wanted to do my best. I'm in San Antonio. I wanted to do my best. I didn't really think, okay, I have this set down now. I wouldn't really like work hard enough to change it up. Like, okay, I was always too comfortable. Maybe that's my whole life. Maybe too content, not driven enough. So now, like I said, I like to have at least a couple of things in front of me, material-wise, always that you're working on, not quite finished, so it feels fresh. It feels like why you got into comedy in the first place is because, before videos and social media, you didn't have to change your set. People just toured for years on the same. You had a killer hour, If you went back a lot, sure, but I never got to that level of headliner that comes back a lot. I do change a lot, here and there, a little bit, but it takes me so long. So again, that's why I do crowd work. Don't have to it's new stuff to the audience who comes to see it. But yeah, I would just say write more. I did do it a lot. I did go up a lot. So but I would just say just write more. Think about the big picture more.
Yeah.
I was just like,
amen to that. Yeah.
Tuesday night, I just want to kill with my jokes I have.
What was your first TV appearance? Do you remember what that felt like, or what was it, number one, and then what did it feel like waiting in the wings to go on?
It was called Comedy on the Road, and it was shot in different cities.
I remember that.
And they came to San Francisco, and it was Rick Messina booked it. So for some reason I got it, but they were taping in Minneapolis at the it was called the Comedy Jungle or something. It was on this. It wasn't Acme. It was before that, or anyway, the Hanson brothers owned it. Anyway, so I had to fly myself out, or some deal where I had to really not making much money. So it was a day out earlier. I did a set somewhere, and I remember it's like I had this joke about like, anyway, it went maybe like, I would say maybe 6.5 out of 10. It wasn't that people were doing good, but it wasn't. It was like, it was weird because the crowds are so pumped to applause. Your first thing, all the cables and the lights. You're like, this is not like you do it normally. It's like really bright, and everybody's doing these 6-minute sets. So it was just really stiff. I don't think any of my TV is great. It doesn't.
Really?
I don't have, I have dyslexia, so I say things wrong a little bit. Same intent, but like the as's and is's, and I trail a little bit. Um, so I'm not I'm not really concise. I'm better with the
Hmm.
tension in the moment. Yeah, I've had okay ones, okay, that went well. I said my jokes right, but that's not when I'm best. Is I just say these jokes right. I don't,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
you know. But that's just my, everybody's got their thing.
Huh.
I just don't think, and it's something I could just work on. I could just say, oh, I don't come across well. But what I mean is that I don't work hard enough to try to come across well.
Is there one achievement or set or one thing that you can point to that you're most proud of in your stand-up career?
Well, I probably got on Conan. Again, it was a good set, but I didn't. It could, I wish I would have done that. So getting on Conan was like, oh, that's legit.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Conan.
Yeah.
Getting on Conan, I'm pretty proud of the marijuana log. We got to go to New York and travel all over the world, and
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
got to.
yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, we're off Broadway for a year. I met my wife, when I was doing just being in New York,
Wow.
was paying your rent. You're working in New York. It was so that was a great time in my life too. That was comedy got me that. I like being on some writing jobs. The days where it's just more of a joke day and you got 13 writers. And some of those days are so fun too because you're not worried about the story. It's like, okay, let's hear some. And it's just like, oh, all these great funny people are just telling jokes all day, or thinking of jokes, and so you're like that. Those are fun. So all those little areas have been in and out of been fun times. I hope I have some coming up even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you? Can I just really ask you? What was a highlight, Joe, of your so far? A couple highlights.
Ah, man. To me, it's like a collection of little moments. I remember when Tom and Dan, you're gonna remember this night, right? Like, the San Francisco scene was so small, and we were constantly trying to get Tom's approval. We were constantly trying to move up, and the big thing was if you could become house MC at Cobb's, then you got that for 6 months, and then you're an automatic feature, and that changes everything for you locally. And I think Dan and I were both kind of in the running for that. And then one night, Tom calls Dan into his office and tells him you're house MC. And Dan, you came in and you told me, and I was like excited for you, but I was let down because I'm like, well, that means it's not me. And then then Tom pulls me into his office and he goes, okay, you're a feature. Just no, classic Tom, no like, hey, I think you're ready for this. I think he just like, so you're a feature. And it was like in one night,
Yeah.
locally, everything shifted for Dan and I, and I just remember feeling like, oh my God, like this is a big deal. That felt pretty amazing. I remember being really excited to move to LA. I remember meeting my girlfriend at the Sacramento Punchline, who I moved down there with, and that was probably a mistake. But and I remember, once again, like Dan and I got on live at Gotham, and we were at the same taping, and I was incredibly grateful to have a really close friend to share that experience with, and like you said, like it was really weird. I don't feel like I was present, because they tell you all the stuff, stay in this little imaginary box, pause after your laugh, even if there isn't a laugh, we can insert one later. You've got all this direction in your head, and then when I said good night and my set was over, I just felt like shit. I don't remember it. I wish I could have savored that experience a little bit more of being in the moment, but it was amazing to be in New York and feel like I'm a comedian doing a TV show for Comedy Central. Yeah, and then locally, there's still I've got a monthly show at the Punchline that I get to headline. I got a monthly show at Cobb's. I mean, these are things that young me would have gone, no way. And I try not to take it for granted. So there's still some really cool things that are happening, but yeah, I mean, there's no replacing when you're young and you're just hungry and you're trying to figure out the scene and figure out, who am I on stage? Those are just golden days.
Yeah, I have to add one more thing so I don't forget. Mike Capizzola and I did a tour of Europe 2 years ago. And
Oh shit! Wow.
that was up there too. That was up there too. Now, Dan, I got to ask you, what's yours? High points.
Yeah, high points is just being on top of my game in San Francisco back when I was in the scene, and getting to that point where you're getting up at the showcases, you walk into Punchline, Hutch puts you up, and feeling that, and starting to experiment on stage starting to get into I had a period where I was even too much, actually. I was always writing. It wasn't fun unless it was new. And that was a real cool, creative time for me. And I was getting feedback from my peers of, God, how much do you write? Was that new? Was that new? And the problem was then we would have a set that mattered. And I seriously, I didn't know how to put it together. I had no practice, just killing with a
cherry picked set of the diamonds and all those.
Yeah, and that was actually an issue for me. I would think to myself, "Oh, just go up and fucking be so in the moment."
I think our whole
blow them away, and it didn't work.
Our whole group kind of had that issue though, because I mean, Dan and I have talked about this a lot. Like when we really came on the scene and started, we didn't realize that stand-up was imploding. We didn't realize that was going on. Because we were just naive, we were new to it, we didn't know. And like later on, looking back, there were headliners talking about how, oh, my pay got cut by 20%, or this club is closing. Like we were kind of aware of it, but we were like, hey, we're brand new. And because of that, we had this weird environment where we were encouraged to experiment, because it was almost like, hey, we don't know if this is going to last. You know, in hindsight, of course it was always going to last, but yeah, I felt like the hood was always up and I was always tinkering with my set, and there was never like, this is my 7. This is my audition set. It was always like, yeah, I'm going to fuck around and try this out tonight, and I'm going to riff my way through this.
Yeah, I didn't have the practice of, there's a certain skill of making something that's tight, fresh, and making it work. And I would get embarrassed in front of my peers. To be inauthentic in any way. And sometimes we have to do that. You have to go up and say, well, I was just watching Friends. Whatever. You got to do what you got to do.
Well, what you do for old movies, you say, I just rented. Then you could just do an old joke.
Yeah.
An old movie. I just rented.
You ever notice, not to name any names, but there were people, I mean, it's just, there were some people that did not write.
Yeah.
And you could see the progression, the tricks they would use. It would start off, I just saw this. And then it would turn into, I rented it. And then it would turn into, I finally got around to watching that movie.
You guys remember? Yeah, there was a...
Oh my God. You know what?
Did you guys see the 20th anniversary of the old... Remember that McDonald's?
And they would fucking sell it.
I'll tell you.
No problem.